Okay, so this, unfortunately, is the soap that I made yesterday. I made so many mistakes with this soap, it's not even funny. It's okay because it's a soap for me and the mistakes are purely aesthetic, but um, I like soaping and it's very therapeutic and everything and it helps defog my mind, but I still need to be quite lucid when I'm doing this because I just could not get it together yesterday. So um, let's go with mistake number one. We'll start counting. So the first one was my embeds. This is just extra soap that I had from the embeds that I made. The embeds were actually these flowers but with the yellow center and then the purple petals. But as you can see, this is clear melt and pour. So I wasn't thinking straight and I grabbed the clear melt and pour instead of grabbing the white base which is what I should have grabbed because you couldn't tell the yellow in the center with the dark background. The yellow actually looked brown and you couldn't really tell it was there. So that was mistake number one, that I used the wrong soap base for the embeds. Mistake number two was the fragrance. This is actually my favorite fragrance right now. And I was going to do a 1 pound batch, but decided that since it was one of my favorite fragrances, I'll go ahead and make more soap and I'll do a regular 4 pound loaf. But since half my brain was thinking 1 pound batch and the other half was thinking 4 pound batch, I ended up putting the amount for a 1 pound batch of fragrance. I ended up putting that in the 4 pound batch. So you can't really smell this that well. It has a faint smell to it, but it's not all there. It's like not strong. So this is horrific. I can't even. So that was mistake number two. We're on to mistake number three. Mistake number three was that I wanted to do a mantra swirl. I'm surprised that the colors actually turned out exactly the colors that I wanted. But the mantra swirl I was supposed to do after, I had put the layers in, but I had forgotten. So let me see if I can go ahead and start cutting this here. But I had forgotten, so this is so atrocious. So I had the embeds in and everything was all nice and pretty, and I had white topping in the middle, and I'm like, oh, I could still stick the hanger in the middle and I could still do the mantra swirl. Well, when I did that, because the soap had already been sitting for a while in the mold, not for a while, for about 5 minutes as I was doing the top, it started to solidify. So when I stuck the hanger in, it was not, it definitely wasn't like swirling the soap, it was slicing into it because the soap was already starting to solidify. So it came out with a chunk of soap when I pulled the hanger up, so chunks of white were coming up, so I had to actually push all the white back down. And this actually looks really thick to be, oh well. Anyway, so I had to push all the white back down, and then I took a skewer and I swirled it on top. So then I had pink and white swirled down the middle. So I'm like, oh, that's not bad. It still might look okay. And I guess it doesn't look too bad. I don't know. Like, if you didn't know any better, if I didn't make that mistake, that's where it got swirled up. And I'm surprised it doesn't have more air bubbles in it because of that. But it's okay, right? So I can deal with this, with the little thing in the middle right there. That's fine with me. So afterwards, and I put iridescent glitter on the top, and I thought, hey, it looks pretty still. It's just gonna have something, in the middle on the top. And I'm like, that's fine, I could deal with that. So then I go on to mistake, what number are we on? 4? 5? I don't even know. So I go on to the next mistake, which is the oven process soap. I always do cold process, oven process, but I always use my acrylic mold. And I've always read everywhere that with an acrylic mold, you can't actually turn the mold on. I mean, you can't actually turn the oven on. You actually have to just use the oven light to provide the extra heat. And so this time, since I was using my handy dandy acrylic mold here, silicone mold here, I decided to turn the oven on. I decided to, to use a different method with the oven on warm for a couple hours and then turning it off. Well, I didn't realize till 20 minutes after I had done that I had put embeds, melt and pour embeds on the top of the soap. So of course they melted. And yes, I do have melt and pour soap on the bottom of my oven that I have to clean today. So that is why the top looks completely horrendous. That is why these little things right here, they were flowers, and now they are no more. So this soap definitely had a lot. I made a lot of mistakes with this soap, but they're all purely aesthetic. There was nothing wrong with the quality of the soap or anything like that. This is my normal recipe, so. But I do wish that I didn't. I just feel like, I technically am still a beginner soaper, but I have done, quite a few batches, and the mistakes that I made were just ridiculous. They shouldn't have been made. So let me cut this excess off here. So it actually doesn't look that bad. I'm wondering if it's still okay. It could just be, it's kind of spongy. I don't like that look. But it does have air bubbles and it is kind of spongy, but I could just cut those off because it is angled because of the silicone mold, but I could just make them straight. I don't know. Now that it's cut up, it kind of looks kind of cool, I guess. I don't know if this is just me telling myself this, but it does look like it's not a mess up. It looks like I actually meant it to be all weird and artistic and swirly. We'll just go with that. We will just go with that. Cut a little too much, but oh well. I'll just have more samples with this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. Okay. So these are the soaps. I wish I got 9 bars out of it, but with my acrylic mold I usually get 9 1-inch bars. Some of these look a little bit fatter than an inch, so I think that may be why I couldn't really see well. I use my Cricut mat for now, and usually it works, but I guess because I'm talking too much, I guess that we can add that to the list of mistakes for this soap. But since, my husband hasn't made me my cutter yet, so I might actually be able to just pass this off as just being a swirl of some weird kind. But it's funny, it looks blue on camera, but it's actually lavender. And the inside doesn't look too bad. So, well, so that was my botched soap. Here's the start of a mantra swirl. But so it's kind of my semi-botched slope, I guess. So there it is. It is ready to use now, but it does seem kind of spongy, but I still, even with cold process, oven process, I let my soaps cure for at least a week. In that week they get so much harder. So, but that's them.